Hi, everyone. It's Michelle at Resonant Essentials. How's it going this morning? This afternoon, sorry. We are live because it's my turn to be interviewed. And to do that honorable pleasure is our very own Kevin O'Neill. Hi, Kevin. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm glad to be doing this on the 13th at 13 o'clock.
Oh, well, that's 1313, a very auspicious beginning, isn't it?
Right, right. And I'm grateful to have this opportunity to interview you. I know it's such a great joy to be around you, and your work that I've seen and witnessed is just remarkable, and I want others to share in that experience as well, and perhaps get a deeper understanding of who you are, what you're all about, where you came from.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. And I'll pay you afterward.
Oh, okay. So I know that you've shared with me, and probably others as well, that at an early age, you had a different awareness about what we call life, or the reality or illusion thereof. Um, and I'm curious, I don't know that a lot of people know how early you came about that awareness. Could you speak to that?
I can. I should never tell you my secrets because now you're going to air them in public. When I was about 3 years old, my mother was sending me to bed for my nap, and I did not evidently want to take a nap. So I told her, "You're not my boss. I don't really live here, and I want to go home." To which she promptly spanked my butt and threw me in bed. And I remember laying there in bed, and we had this really weird, it was a bunch of fleur-de-lis on the wall and the wallpaper, and I was tracing them, and that's when spirit first came in that I have a conscious memory of, and laughing with me about, it's okay, you signed up for this. But it's been a struggle ever since then. Oh, no, I don't live here, I don't belong, what's up with this? And no, nobody
home?
gets to
Exactly.
spank me now, so there. Well, I have always understood that there is a oneness, a reality that is greater than what we can, in our conscious human mind, understand. It's through my work in metaphysics that I came to a more full understanding that that oneness has synchronicity. It works well in the blend together, happenings that are more full, greater, other places, other experiences that we have that are not limited to the earth, which is one of the things that I work at teaching and bringing people to higher awareness, is that thought process. This isn't about a fourth dimension. This is about a consciousness. People automatically, oh, we're going to ascend to the fourth dimension. You're not done with your earth life. So you're not going to just open the door and walk out and be in the fourth dimension. It's about a consciousness raising from that third chakra to the fourth chakra, from that awareness of oneness that we need to come into before we can do higher levels of work. So I think that for most of us, that concept of where we live and how we live, that other world, that other life, is hard for us to conceptualize in the human form because our vibration is lower.
Yeah, sure. And it's all here now with us.
Right? Yes, it is. As much as it's just a vibration away.
Right. So speaking of vibration, you at 3 years of age, I have memories back to about 4, but 3. I can't go there. So at 3 years of age, you obviously had that sense of spirit. Uh, what drew you to the metaphysical aspect? I know you were drawn as a uh, teen to the teachings of and writings of Edgar Casey. Is that kind of what was a springboard for you, or
No,
do you think that?
I didn't fit in anywhere. I was raised, right? I was raised in a Baptist church because my father was Catholic, my mother was Baptist. So I was going to the Baptist church. When I came into conflict with the teachings, it was right as I was being baptized. And I asked some serious questions. I said, I wanted to understand how Noah and the ark, if Noah was white and they were the only people left on earth because the floods took everything else except for two of each kind, and of course Noah and his family, then how did we get brown people and black people? Well, you don't ask that in the Baptist church.
Right.
It's just not on. And then I asked questions such as, well, if Jesus loves all the children of the world, and then why, in the 10 Commandments, it says, thou shalt not pray or idolize anyone but the Lord thy God. But hey, Jesus is right up there. Yay, Jesus. And so they told my parents I really wasn't going to make a very good Baptist, and they weren't going to baptize me. So onward and upward, my grandmother took me into the Catholic Church when I was 12, despairing of my soul because she's a nice little Italian. She wanted to make sure I made it past limbo. So she took me in to see the priest, and I said, yeah, why do I have to tell you my sins? It's none of your business. And he didn't like that answer either. I didn't have an understanding of confession. I later understood why, but, having gone through many years of study for religions and teachings to get to where I'm at today, it was an awareness that it didn't work for me. So when I found a book, I picked up a book on magic, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was magic. And I was like, wow, people cast spells. But I knew at that point, that's a real dangerous game to start getting into if you don't have proper training. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. But it inspired me to start reading books. And my next book was Gina Saramonera on Many Mansions, the book on Edgar Casey explaining reincarnation and past lives and how that all affects us in our life today or other lives. I'm going to say other lives because I think past life, future life happens simultaneously. There's no
Right.
time in spirit.
Time is a constant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just basically so we can go to lunch.
Right. So teenage years reading Edgar Casey, and I know there was a span before you really began the training in metaphysics, but still I know you were aware of your gift of spirit and um, just I'm curious, and I think a lot are how you came to accept that fully and then share it willingly.
Well, it was kind of odd because when I was younger, I had these experiences and I just always knew things. Things just popped out of my mouth and they came true. And I think very many people that walk on this path can tell a hero's journey story about being misunderstood and not fitting in and having different realities. It's just whether or not you're strong enough to withstand the onslaught. I was very fortunate. My parents, I was the youngest of four, so they pretty much ignored me. So, that was one of my,
right?
It definitely benefited me when they ignored me. So yeah, it was, I had experiences with my grandfather coming in a dream telling me that he was going to die. and that I was going to live with my grandmother and to watch over her. And he didn't say I'm going to die. He says, I'm leaving now. So I woke up and I looked at the clock, and it was 3:35, and his estimated time of death was 3:30. So that really kind of validated that I had gifts in that way. I later went to live with my grandmother within probably 6 months of that happening. And the funny thing was, is I would hear spirit in the basement, and my grandmother's house was very active, and I would hear them laughing and talking. I'd be like, and they would be talking, and I could answer them, and they would talk. And it freaked me out, because I was like, how the heck do I do this? And how is this happening? So it was pretty intense because I had no one to talk to. And that's why I really started
Gallup,
studying.
Right?
Huh?
Being in Gallup? Yeah, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of spirit going on in Gallup. Let me tell you. I had friends from the Navajo reservation, and we shared some of the same psychic experiences of the psychic wars between the Zuni and the Navajo over the top of Gallup, and that energy was really intense.
I can imagine. So you carried this around for a number of years, for a significant part of your life, before you finally found a place, or the place found you, to start some training. And that was at the Universal Church of the Holy Spirit. Is that correct?
Yep.
And that was here in Albuquerque.
It was funny, because I'd had a lot of people offer to train me in my gifts. I remember one, my mother loved going and getting readings. I swear it was because she was looking for a husband, and she loved getting readings, and I was the one she drug along with her. And we walked into this one gentleman's, it was his house, but it was a place where, it was a separate office, kind of a mother-in-law's apartment. And he said, I want to train you. And I was thinking, I don't know you, and I know that this training, it has to be, it just didn't feel right.
Right.
Because you really have to be careful and be very aware of the training that you get, because even with the best intentions that people have, doesn't necessarily mean that you should be trained in what they are trained in. And so I was very leery. And when I found UCHS, it was a metaphysics center. It was like I'd come home. I knew that my destiny was supposed to be there, and I knew that I had come to a place that had teachings that were what I understood, levels of consciousness that resonated within me. So I started training there. It was started by a Reverend Yonkers, who was a reverend from a spiritualist church in California, and he was let me get this, because he was a psychic physical trance medium.
Can you name what exactly that means?
Right? Yeah, a lot of titles is kind of like all those letters at the end of my name, and I never use them because, it's just silly. A medium is always a psychic, but not every psychic is a medium.
Right.
And there's different levels of mediumship.
And you said this Reverend Yonkers was a physical trance medium?
He was a physical trance medium, but also a psychic. And there's different ways of approaching the psychic and mediumship. They're two different things. So a psychic is someone who reaches out energetically and gets into your vibration, your auric field. And in your auric field are things that are affecting your moment now, your life experience. There's energies, memories, happenings. So even though a psychic can pick up my grandmother, let's say, in my vibration, because my grandmother was a great influence, or they can pick up my mother, and because of my energetic field, I would have memories of that, they could describe what my mother would be like. But a medium is actually talking with, and my mother on the other side, on the other end of the veil, or my son. Audrey Wilson is a fantastic medium that brought my son in after he transitioned, which I also experienced a physical trance medium. And so I've had these different teachings and understandings from different people. So a psychic can get information from you as to what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, what's coming up in your future, what you're manifesting through your creating of your story. And a medium is actually working with the other side. And there's a difference in the brain. There's a slight variation that makes it possible for the medium to do this. Now, like I said, not every psychic is a medium, but every medium is a psychic. And then you get into the different types of mediumship. A physical medium goes into a trance state of consciousness, really deep. And everybody who's sitting in the room, your energy field, he pulls that together in, or she, sorry.
Right.
They pull it into their body and they build it up and send it out as ectoplasm. Now, we know that the vibration of spirit is much faster and higher in frequency. So spirit will step into this ectoplasm and slow their vibration down enough.
Slow the roll.
Actually, yeah, good way to look at it. They definitely slow their roll. Manifest a physical voice and a physical body. Now, you have to be in a darkened room. So there's a lot of naysayers about this, and Harry Houdini was one of them, because there's a lot of false teachings and a lot of false charlatans out there. Right, but a true physical medium, you will definitely know the difference, as well as a trance medium. When a trance medium goes into trance, the facial features can change, the voice changes. You have to be in a darkened room. A red light is usually used so you can see the actual face changes, but white light is not conducive to this. So you can have light, not in a physical medium, because it's very dangerous to the physical medium with the ectoplasm, because if it snaps back into their body, it can kill them. So it's a little more dangerous and it's a very, it's a rare occurrence. I think there's maybe 10 to 20 physical mediums in the world. That's not to say that one of them isn't out there now waiting to make manifest. It means that of the known mediums out there, there's only it's a very rare, very special gift, and it's very dangerous. So the person who takes that on their destiny path has to really train.
And from what I understand and the shared experiences with you, that is not your calling. That is not your path. Yours is in the lines of trance, medium, healer.
Well, and that's not to say that I can't develop the physical if I keep training in trance. That means that my gift and my focus right now is that's why I'm making that qualifying statement, because I don't want anyone to think that they can't keep working toward a goal. Sure. It doesn't mean you'll manifest it here in the now, in our consciousness now, but it means that you could be affecting that change for another experience that you're having elsewhere. But yes, my gift kind of is going along the lines of medical empath and trance healer.
Now,
I'm studying.
Pardon?
I said I'm studying with Audrey Wilson to fine tune. A lot of everyone down at Resonant Essentials has given Audrey many kudos, as you know, because we did the workshop with her, the mediumship workshop with her. Audrey has been working very closely with many of the people at Resonant Essentials because it's a very, mediumship is very specialized. A lot of people don't teach the same way that she teaches. They don't train people the same way that she does.
Right. And I cherish the time that I was able to spend with Audrey when she was here, and it's quite remarkable that evening where we were table tipping, and
Right.
I think I mentioned at the time, what I felt when I just had my hands, about an inch above that table. It felt like they were floating in water, right? So there was maybe some sort of quasi ectoplasm that was happening, or definitely some energy built in there and contained amongst that.
And people don't realize how special that gift of doing that is, and how wonderful she was for, I know that we talked about it afterward. It was such an amazing experience that you can't even explain it.
I know. Yeah, it's something you have to be there and seen it.
Absolutely.
So you were talking about mediumship, and one word I haven't heard was channeling. What's come across my radar recently is somebody claimed to have been channeling this coronavirus going around, and I was like, I don't sense that that's a truth for me anyway. Maybe it's their truth, but is that even in the realm of possibility of where we are collectively now?
Well, to understand, you'd have to know the difference with channeling. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between channeling and trance, because a lot of people can misconstrue that. People think that they're channeling when they're getting information from spirit. Okay. That's not quite the full extent of it. Okay. A channel, if they're well trained, they have to have a very high frequency to work with very high entities. I'm glad I didn't see somebody saying they were channeling the coronavirus, because I probably would have rolled my eyes. I don't know who that was, but no, I don't believe that they could have channeled the coronavirus. It's two different frequencies. When we're working in that energy, to go in and channel a virus, you are assuming that the virus holds a consciousness like a discarnate.
Right.
And while I will own the fact that I think that there's a consciousness in all and a oneness in all, I don't believe that our frequency here, our vibration here, because this is the lowest plane of existence, is the material world. So to do that, you'd have to be along the lines of higher than the Christ consciousness, which I have yet to see a Christ consciousness emerge in the Aquarian age. In fact, the precepts talk about what's coming up in the Aquarian age, and those were given in the 1970s through discarnate and incarnated beings that were the leaders for the precepts. That they were the decision makers, to put it simply. So there will not be a Christ consciousness to follow, which is why so many people are stuck on Jesus. We need to move away from the Piscean age to embrace the Aquarian age. And Jesus, while he had some great teachings, he was also just having a mortal experience. He was another discarnate, another one who recognized the oneness, the consciousness of all, and that energy, and was able to see above and beyond it. So for someone to channel a coronavirus, they'd have to be right up there.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah, I
when you
don't think
walk with,
I don't think this person was right up there. They might have been out there, but not up there.
well, and that's one
Well,
of the hard things.
you
It's
were
learning who's truth and who's not.
so you were speaking of
Okay.
the consciousness and the levels of consciousness and the vibration and moving from the Piscean age into the Aquarian age and shedding the old dogma. This all comes from your foundation in metaphysics? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes, yes, it does. When I started studying in metaphysics, I knew that the gifts of spirit is not, it's a part of metaphysics. They're tools. So our healing abilities, our psychic abilities, our gifts of spirit, whether we be, healers on whatever level, whatever we're doing, those are tools that we use to raise our consciousness, to raise our vibration. Foundations and principles in metaphysics teach us to recognize truth, to bring light to our life, to honor it.
And that is a class that you offer, correct?
It is. I teach Mastering Metaphysics Foundations and Principles. I've got it on my website under, you can take the classes and then come to the Q&A, because I don't want people just to take the classes. I'm interested in training metaphysicians to reach levels of awareness, because the more I teach, the more I receive back. So the more people that want to really understand and come to their own truth, and it doesn't matter what your belief system is, it matters what you do with it and how you work it. So if I train people, they can teach me. I'm happy to be taught. I love being taught.
Yeah, it's an experience. I've often spoke as the gift that I received over the course of my journey cease to be a gift if I don't share them, if I don't give them away. And it's not about giving them away. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's giving them away and being open to receive the continuation of the loop, the cycle of giving and receiving, giving and receiving.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hold on a second. There's a question. Tina has a question. Go ahead, okay. Tina. Jeannie wanted to know, how do I qualify my abilities? Jeannie, I am a medium, and I am a trance medium working at fine-tuning my trance skills, and I am also a trance healer. So my skills, I am a medium, which means that I'm also a psychic. I do spiritual counseling to help people, because one of my gifts is about teaching people how to honor, open up, and walk through the door of their own gifts and being able to recognize their gifts.
Right on. So you had spoke a moment ago about
wait a minute. Audrey has a question. Sorry. Oh. Go ahead. Oh, Audrey wants to know, she's got a tough question. How do I honor my abilities while being the figurehead of RE? Good question, Audrey. Hand me my head on a platter. Let me serve it to you. That's a good question, because I have kept myself. It's very hard in doing this work, because you realize that there's a very fine balance in honoring your work and manifesting your work and being able to hold the energy for RE. So it's been a hard balance. There's been a bit of reluctance for me to come out in my gifts so that I can work with people until I got RE stabilized. Resonant Essentials was created, as many of you know. I was brought back from Toronto. I was standing in the closet in Toronto when I was told, pack what's important to you because you won't be back for a while. Now, Spirit had sent me up there. Now they were bringing me back. And I'm like, what? So when I created RE, I knew I had to have a place. This is going to be a place for people to teach truth from, and people from all over the world will be working and teaching with RE, and we'll be bringing higher and better teachers. As you well know, Audrey, you're one of them. But it's really hard for me to, I think people have a tendency to see me as Resonant Essentials, the figurehead, and they don't realize, because I do my work too quietly. So that's one of the reasons I even agreed to be interviewed, is to let people know I'm out of the closet now, folks.
Again, all over again.
Right? It's like, oh God. Okay.
So you had spoken about the gifts of spirit being tools, and the foundation and principles of metaphysics being, I would imagine, more important than the gifts of spirit, because, similar to, my construction experience, having some foundation in math and geometry allows me to use my tools and my intellect more efficiently, right?
Right.
So is that a similar analogy for the foundations and principles of metaphysics support the gifts of spirit?
And vice versa.
Okay.
They work, symbiotically. And the reason is because we have to use our meditation to receive information and to be brought into higher awareness and to be guided. We use our intuition to navigate our world. Some of the prime examples of using your intuition to navigate through the world is, do I turn left or do I turn right? And all of a sudden you're used to going right, and you're being asked to turn left, and you think, okay, if you don't turn right or turn left, you don't know, you just know that you're being impressed to. So let's say you ignore turning left and you turn right and you get in a car accident and you go, God, I knew I should have turned left. Why didn't I listen to myself? I mean, so many times we have gotten these intuitive hits that we totally ignore. So metaphysics, when you talk and when you teach, I have 3 modules that I teach in. So the first module comes in as universal awareness, universal laws, why we started, how the earth was created. Because most people go, well, God made it. Well, but why? How did that happen? And metaphysics is best defined as the science and study of all. It takes the physical world and science, and that gives us our explanation. Well, science, as we well know, is a theory, proven fact, just to be disproved later on with a new theory. And we take it higher and higher and higher in our awareness. So then you have emotion, which explains our choices in our religious or our belief system. And that could be belief in the fact that your dog is the greatest dog in the world. Whatever our emotions are tied to creates our story, our beliefs, our passions. And then philosophy, which is, our explanation, tying it to our spiritual path, our spiritual information. So having those tools and having those foundations, to me, was fundamental, because there's a real big misconception about what karma is. Karma is not Deuteronomy, the payback of eye for an eye. Karma is a tool that we use to bring us to more awareness. So if we want to learn something, we bring it to ourselves, and that's what karma is. We're not really good about learning on the easy path. We always seem to create situations where we're the downtrodden, kicked in the gutter person that's lost everything or everyone that ever means anything. For example, when my son passed away, most people know how devastating it was. I could hardly function. But when I went really down deep within, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want my son back. What I'm saying is that his death gave me a whole new level of awareness that I would not have had access to, even though I have those foundations. But because I have those foundations, my world shifted in a different direction. I still have PTSD. I still deal with the panic and the anxiety and the fear factors that have been created, and I still get the visuals of the trauma of his 3 days taking him to pass. But because of the foundations that I had, I'm able to hold myself stable 90% of the time. 10% I'm it's kind of sketchy there. It's a touch and go. Mother's Day weekend was not pretty.
Well, you and I were talking earlier this morning about things, and I think I had mentioned tapping into that frequency, or that higher vibration of empathy, and you offered another perspective that was more valuable or more important for us collectively, and you said it was compassion.
Yeah.
Would you care to speak around the importance of compassion over empathy, and how you apply that to yourself?
Well, empathy, people use that word, they're empaths, way too loosely. One of the issues that we have in this world is that there's phrases that are catch-all, or they're the trigger word, or whatever, they're the lightning word of the decade, like, stress.
Manifest mindfulness.
Yes, there you go. So with that being said, there was an empath literally feels someone's pain or sickness. Mm-hmm. They walk in a room and they get the headache. They don't just sense the headache, they literally get the headache until they recognize, is this me or them? We can go into a mall, and some people, especially around Christmas, everybody's freaked out. Money is being thrown casually. People are, shopping in frenzy, and the hecticness going on, and that energy can affect us. That doesn't mean that we're empaths. That means that we're feeling other people, the energy, the vibration. Mm-hmm. Okay. Compassion is very important in the fact that an empath, you don't want to feel people suffering. So an empath, when they're healers, and as they grab that empath ability, they're going, okay, I've got a stomach ache, something's going on, and they're able to look at their client and say, let's work through this. And then when they release it, they know they've gotten to the client. Having compassion means that, let's say you see a homeless person on the street. Lance was filled with compassion. He tried to bring the homeless home to me. He and his sister were at a movie, and he saw somebody that was homeless leaving the theater, walking out in the rain, and he knew he was homeless, and he says, can't we take him? He can sleep on the porch. That's having compassion. And that's something I think that we're really here to learn more about, is saying, you know what, this person is having an experience in their life that doesn't feel good. It can't feel good to go hungry or to be cold. It can't feel wholeness. Not to say that there aren't people living up in the mountains and mountain men that love their hunting and love being out there, but they have tools and equipment, and this is a choice. And being homeless sometimes is not always a choice. We also don't have compassion racially. You know, there's the misconception that every white person has that there's not white privilege. They don't understand that there's white privilege. They don't understand what it's like to walk down the street and be a different color and live in fear that you're going to get a beer bottle flung at you, or somebody's going to sideswipe you, or they're going to shoot you because they have nothing better to do.
Right.
That is compassion, is having that understanding that people don't live the same way that you do, and that their pain that they have is something that you love them through. And the more that we bring that compassion, the more that we extend that love to one another, the lighter our light becomes. Addiction is another thing. People are so angry because of the addicts out there. Well, I'm going to offer the fact that we're all addicted to something, even if it's to the addict. If it's to ego, if it's to sex, drugs, alcohol, rock and roll, I don't care if it's to green chili stew, your dog, it doesn't matter. We all have things that we're overly attached to. And it can be what alters us through our emotional experience. It's what makes us feel good. Our addiction makes us feel good. So why can't we have compassion for each other? So that's the difference between having empathy. It's not as important to be empathetic as it is to have compassion, because being empathetic, you go, oh, well, so sad for you. Got to go about my life. Compassion is, what can I do to affect change by loving you through your process?
Right. I certainly have my experiences of encountering those less fortunate and less privileged than me. I certainly grew up in humble environments, and our family struggled, and I got by with, I'm male, I'm white, and I benefited, whether I at the time certainly didn't have an awareness of it, but grew into that place of compassion for others. And really, there are no others. If somebody's struggling, that means I'm struggling.
Exactly. And we don't realize that how much compassion can change that. So that's why when we talked earlier, it was about owning that compassion versus empathy. I'd rather much be compassionate than empathetic. And sympathy is just not good, because you know where you find sympathy. Do you know where you find sympathy?
I'm fitting to find out.
Yeah, you are, between shit and syphilis in the dictionary. Sorry. But we have to learn to laugh at our little antics in this world.
Right.
Just me, plain speaking.
So I'm not tracking the time here. I don't know how much longer we have, but I know we spoke about the classes that you have. Can you tell people where and how to go about exploring those?
I can, and thank you for asking. Because I have someone who is coaching me to tell me to do this, you can go to michellevidal.com and click on Learn More under any of the classes. And the classes I offer, there's 3 different types, there's 3 different classes: Intuitive Explosion, is the Foundations in Intuition and Development. If you happen to feel or want to know if you should take the mediumship, the workshop in mediumship, you can schedule a discovery talk with me on the phone and we can talk about it. Because like I said, not everybody's a medium, but this is the beginning. It's a workshop for beginning mediumship skills. And then I offer the Mastering Metaphysics Foundations and Principles. And right now, because of the coronavirus, I am happy to offer discounts through it. So they're all discounted, and if you want a bundle. So yes, I have my classes there. And if you choose to take the classes, you can, under no obligation, even if you don't choose, I should say, even if you don't choose to take the classes, you can get a free meditation or a free e-class in both the Foundations and Principles or the Master Metaphysics class and the Intuitive Explosion classes. There's choices of some free gifts that I offer. And of course, you get a free discovery phone call. If you have questions, if you want to take the classes, you can always schedule that.
Are you called to give out your phone number?
No, they can find it on the website. All right. No, I'm just kidding. They can text me. Don't call. Text me at 505-453-7646 if you have questions, but you can also go to the website and schedule it.
Well, again, it's been truly a joy and an honor chatting with you. Is there anything else you are impressed to share with the folks out there?
I do have something. We're going to do a summit. It's a free summit, Resonance and Vitality, thanks to Johanna Radar, our astrologer, whose brilliant idea this was. And thank God for her, because she has taken the ball and run with it. You'll find it on the landing page of resonantessentials.com. And you can go in there, click on the link for the Summit 2020 and register now, because we have some great practitioners at Resonant Essentials. They've all committed to giving a talk about what it's going to like to come out when we get out of our shelter in place and we can all start coming to. So tips and tools and their insights as to mind, body, and spirit, and what's this mean for our future.
So when exactly is this summit?
Oh, May 20th through the 22nd.
Oh, and so it's coming up soon.
It is, and it's from 1 to 3 every day. You'll get the upload of videos. If you choose to register, and let's say you don't make it for that day's videos, you'll still have the link to go in the next day. You can watch them. They're going to be up for a little while, so I want to encourage everyone to register now so that they can watch these talks that they're as they come up, and they'll be up for a little while afterward. We want to make sure that people see the team of Resonant Essentials being a part of the new emergence of what we're about, because I have been so blessed and so thankful for every one of the practitioners and everyone who brings to the table at Resonant Essentials, and you included, because we'll be doing your interview. I get to turn the tables on you next week. I'm just saying. But I want them to know that there's not one practitioner at Resonant Essentials who has not jumped on this and is going to embrace it with their full heart and soul. And it's going to be really dynamic and exciting. I can't wait. Thank you, Johanna, for taking this ball, running down the court, shooting the basket, and running back the other way. And all of you practitioners, mwah, and love every one of you. I just can't wait to hug everybody.
Yes, thank you from this man as well for your continued feeding the energy, building the energy, and holding the energy.
Well, I thank you so much. And I'm glad I agreed to let you interview me. I was hesitant because you never let me run from anything. Whereas Tina and Jeannie would have. They would have let me slide down the apple cart and out the door. Slide down the apple tree. Sorry, apple cart. Oh, well.
Yeah, I'm the apple cart thumper.
Well, I remember sliding down the apple tree. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, everyone who's watching this video. We appreciate your love and support at Resonant Essentials. Don't forget, we will be doing Bill's class. Check on Resonant Essentials Facebook page for all the events. We've got some great stuff happening. Kevin, thank you. Tina, thank you. There's no more questions, Tina? So thank you guys both. Love to everyone. Bye now.